Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of On My Last Brain Cell, hosted by me, your boy. Sun's out, guns out, team, okay? It is so fucking hot. And I wanted to do like a test video and do this in my room, but I can't seem to figure out the fucking setup. It looks fucking ugly. I waited so long for my art to come in. Like, the way that it's set up, you can't even fucking see it. So I'm like, I'm gonna just do it in the car because I don't know how to say the word in Spanish. Before I disheartened myself and I no longer have the motivation to do this anymore, I was like, we're just gonna keep it like this and go to my car. So whatever. Before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to talk about this really fast. I woke up today at 7:30 because I texted my friend about this because it's just the way that my life is so different now that I am sober. I texted my friend in the morning saying, I woke up at 7:30. I did a mixed wellness shot of apple cider vinegar. It was like a mix of that, water, lemon, and cayenne pepper because it helps with like to lose weight and for bloating and, you know, overall gut health. I was like, then after that, I worked out. I did my insanity videos. I showered and listened to Ethel Kane because, of course. And now I'm doing the pod. And it's just, I texted him and I was like, am I not the healthiest bitch out here? I was like, am I not? I'm so healthy. Like, and I told him, I was like, it's just so funny that back then I was taking shots of tequila at 7:30 a.m. and now I'm taking wellness shots at 7:30 a.m. So it's just funny how my life has changed since I became sober. Because with that whole story, with my old friend group, this is when I used to work at my first hotel as a housekeeper. Randomly, and we all kind of worked in the same hotel. Randomly at times, all together, we would have the weekend off, and we would, and because we had the money, we would just be like, oh, let's just fuck around and go to Cali and just, you know, have fun, because I was making money. I always have with housekeeping. And I remember this one trip we went to Universal Studios, and it was during the summer too. So I don't know if it was like exactly a year, like when it came. Well, it was not a year ago. It probably was maybe 3-4 years ago now. It was during the summer though. We went to Universal Studios. We all woke up really early, like around this time, because my friend was doing her makeup. We were all having to get ready and shower and do all of that. And then there's like the time that Universal Studios opens. So we wake up already. I don't know if it was like 7:30, 8:30, somewhere around that time. I'm already taking shots of 1800, just on an empty stomach, just straight shots of tequila, like back to back. And my friends are like, Adam, it's so early. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And then we were on our way to Denny's. We had a cooler just full of alcohol. There was a Buzzball. I drank that. By the time we went to it was like Denny's or IHOP. By the time we arrived there, I was already wasted off my ass. Then after eating, all of that sobered me up. Going to Universal, I ended up taking even more shots, bought Modelos, expensive ass Modelos over there at Universal, and got drunk again. So it's just, to me, it's just crazy how my life has changed. Not in a short time, it obviously took a minute because that was 3-4 years ago, but just how in these 6 months, like at this time I was doing shots of tequila in the morning. Now I'm doing wellness shots because I want to take care of myself now. So it's just, I don't know. I look back and it's just crazy how, even though I've only been sober for 6 months, just how much my mentality and my health in general just have changed, and how serious I am about it. But it's really cool. In my eyes, it's really cool. And then also, I think a year ago, I started this podcast wearing this shirt, and now it's a sleeveless shirt. It's been a year since the first episode, and I am barely on episode 10. I am so inconsistent with this bullshit. Like, I think about it when I'm like, oh, it'd be cool, you know, to be in it, because I know how to work social media, and I grew up on the internet. It's like, it'd be cool to like be able to pretty much do what a lot of people do and live off of this podcast. But then it's like, girl, I post a video like once every 6 months, once every year, so it's like I'm never gonna get there. But anyway, enough of the rambling. We are gonna finish today's episode of the Q&A part 2. Again, I have my tablet and we're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, the first one is, okay, yeah, when I had posted about it, it's not really a question, but it's just a statement that someone gave me, which is, I still can't process that you have no tattoos. And as you can see, yeah, I have nothing. When I posted that one thing on my IG story where it says like, oh, like random facts about me, it says like your age, your height, your zodiac sign, how many tattoos and piercings you have, yada yada yada. With the tattoos and piercings, I put 0. And with a lot of people, I guess with the way that I look or just the way that I dress, everybody expects me to be like completely yadded up, even though I do want to. But when people find out that I have 0 tattoos, it is always the same reaction, and it is always this, that people can never fully process the fact that I don't have anything. Which is funny that I decided to wear a sleeveless shirt today, because it's like, yeah, girl, I have scars, I have that, but I don't have anything on my body. I would love to get tattoos, but they're so fucking expensive. And then the idea that I have is like, I know a lot of people think I would want like the typical hipster shit of like the patchwork tattoos and all of that, but I want portraits, I want full sleeves, I want to be tatted from the waist up until like the neck. I even thought about getting some like on my face, on my ears, all over my fingers, my hands, my palms, all of that. Like I want full black and gray, neo-traditional, even though neo-traditional is usually color, but I like the style, but I want everything black and gray because that's what they recommend, because it does last longer. When it comes to color, the colors can fade a little bit faster. And then also, a lot of people are allergic to the red tattoo ink, but you don't know until you actually get tattooed. And I've seen people who like, they've gotten like the red ink and it starts to scab, it gets infected and all of that, and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to spend as much money as I'm going to on a tattoo for it to scab up, because it's like, oh, guess what, I'm allergic to it. So I'd rather just have it all black and gray, full portraits. Like I have so many ideas, but no, I don't have any tattoos. I used to have a piercing back in 2019 when I moved out of my parents' house for the first time. That was my second relationship. I had the industrial in this ear, and if you ever meet me in person, if you look up here or onto like the side, you could see the scarring, because I had a keloid at the top and bottom. That was the most annoying piercing ever, and I have heard that from so many people, but it was a piercing that I really wanted, and I got it, and it was such a bitch, because it doesn't ever heal properly. Because the bad thing with it is that like you're not supposed to touch it in order for it to heal, but because it's on your ear and you could sleep on that side, or just one little movement from it could fuck up the entire healing process and restart it over. And I used to fuck it up all the time, but that was the only piercing that I do have. And then when you guys usually see me with like the little gauges that I have, or like the nose ring or whatever, they're all fake. Like the gauges are magnetic and the nose ring is just the one that you just slide in. Because I would love all of that, but because of the type of work that I do when you work in hospitality, they're very strict with the way that you look. So I would rather have the fake piercings than to have to find loopholes so they won't bitch about it. And even then, they'll still find a way to complain about it. Because if you guys remember, my hair was blonde, and even though they told me that blonde was okay, I eventually had to shave off my hair again because they would not stop complaining. So one day I'm starting therapy. Is there any advice that you can give me? The best advice that I could give you is pretty much that you need to do this when you are ready. People have always recommended me therapy. Even my parents were like, maybe you need to go. Even after when it was a bit of a taboo subject in our household, because they just thought that the Bible would fix and heal everything, but hey, it didn't. I still ended up in fucking therapy. But you need to do it when you are fully ready, and you need to do it for yourself. If you truly want to change who you are and heal and move on and just become a better person overall, that's when, that should be the mindset that you have going into it. Don't do it because everybody else is telling you to, or maybe it could be like a trend because you see some of your friends, or maybe like your favorite influencers are doing it. It's not cheap, so that's why I'm saying that. It's very expensive. For me, it's $100 every session, because my therapist, I love her, but she doesn't really take a lot of insurances, and the one that she does is usually for people who are veterans, which I am not. So it can be very expensive. So that's why I'm saying, like, do it wholeheartedly. Do it because you genuinely want to change. And I would say too, even though it's hard to talk about certain things, if you truly want to heal and move on and become a better person, I feel like you should just go into it with full transparency. Go into it letting your therapist know, like, this is what happened, this is how I feel. Just answer their questions to the best of your ability. Share your story to the best of your ability. Be as transparent as you can be. Because like I said, there's a lot of hard things to talk about, which is why, like how I talked about like the episode before this, why I haven't done the Ethel Kane episode, is because I have to talk about him, and I kind of talked about him in therapy, and it's still fucking hard. So that's the best advice I could give you, is go into it with the mentality of this is truly what you want to do, and try to be as transparent as you can be, and try to find the therapist that makes you feel comfortable, which I know is kind of scary, because sometimes having to retell your story to every new person can be difficult as well, and it could ruin the motivation for you. I got lucky because I waited, and there was something about this therapist that really caught my attention, just everything around her and her company. So I feel like I got really lucky with the first one. I feel like you just need to go into it with clear intentions and trust your intuition. You know, if there's a specific therapist that is catching your attention, because that can happen, I would say just go for it. You know, that's the best advice that I can give you. What songs do you have on repeat right now? Right now, obviously it's a lot of Ethel Kane. She just dropped her new album, and it is so fucking devastating. From that album, if any of you listen to Ethel Kane, I have Tempest, obviously, and Dust Bowl, obviously, because I downloaded SoundCloud so I could listen to that song specifically, and Crying During Sex and Homecoming and all of that. But she added Dust Bowl, which was one of my all-time favorite ones that were like her unreleased ones. So Dust Bowl has been on repeat. Tempest, Waco, Texas. I think just towards the end of the album, just like those songs have been on repeat. Tempest is so fucking good, dude. And it's the only song that we get in Willoughby's perspective, and it's crazy. All the Ethel TikTok girlies are adding their own interpretation to like what they think the song means, and each interpretation I'm like, holy fuck. But I have her on repeat. I've been having, who else do I have on repeat? Because I honestly just feel like it's been Ethel Kane. I've been having like because you said songs, so certain songs. There's two from Spirit Box that I've been having on repeat on their new album, Tsunami Sea. The first one is the first two songs in the album. I think you pronounce it Fata Morgana, something like that, which means like an optical illusion. And then Black Rainbow. That one I hated when I first listened to it, and now it's like, it is so fucking good. But I have those on repeat. I have a Knocked Loose song on repeat that's called Moss Covers All. That one's really, really good. I don't know, it's just, I fell back into Ethel Kane. I wasn't really listening to her as much anymore, and I started listening to like all my metalcore stuff. But then once I started listening to her, that is all I listen to, because that is all I'm in the mood for. So I've been listening to like a lot of her older stuff, like her Dog Days EP. I love the song Miss You So. Her Inbred EP, the Golden Age EP, Perverts, Preacher's Daughter, Willoughby Tucker, I Will Always Love You. So it's hard for me to say, because right now it's a lot of Ethel Kane songs. But other than that, it's like all like, it's my metalcore songs. I was having Jutes on repeat for a minute, because I was gonna go see him in concert and I just didn't. But I mostly just wanted to hear like Limerence and Smut live out of his whole set list. Hopefully that answered your question, because I would look on my phone from right now, but that's what I'm recording with. But as far as I can remember, that's what I have on repeat as of right now. It's just, I'm that type of person when it comes to music where like I have to be in the mood for certain things. So it really wouldn't be songs. I'll have like playlists on repeat. So like my metalcore one, my emo one. I remember for a minute I just had the Story So Far's album. Which one was it? Oh, I can't remember the name, but it's the one that has Heavy Gloom. I had that album on repeat like crazy. I had Knocked Loose on repeat. Then I switched. When I went out dancing with my friend, and we're going dancing tonight, I started listening to all like my reggaeton playlists, like Bad Bunny, Fade, all of that. So it depends on my mood. So it's not really songs that I have on repeat per se. It's more like playlists. What's your go-to sad girl playlist? So I do have one because that's when I was more in my sad girl era, and it's like all like the typical people like Jhené Aiko, Summer Walker, Daniel Caesar, Sabrina Claudio, Division, like that entire era of music is all in there. Like I have all my sad girl shit. But lately I don't really touch that. I haven't touched that playlist in years now because I'm not in my sad girl era anymore, which is why like as in love as I was with Jhené Aiko before, I don't listen to her music anymore because it just doesn't hit anymore. Because again, I'm not sad like that anymore. And I tried to listen to her stuff, but because I'm not in that mindset, like it's so much harder. Who I do still listen to though from time to time is Summer Walker. I feel like her music will always hit. For some reason with like Jhené, I kind of died out of that, but Summer, like I love her shit though. But if I do listen to anything sad, like I'll listen to Ethel Kane. Like, cause she has certain songs that just hit you so fucking good, specifically in certain situations. Like when I think about him, I'll listen to like House in Nebraska and Western Nights and Miss You So. It's just, yeah, if I'm really sad, I'll listen to her music because it really just hits the way it needs to. But yeah, I have that sad girl playlist, but I don't listen to it anymore. How did you feel being diagnosed with BPD? I was recently diagnosed and I don't know how to feel about it, which is completely valid. That is 100% valid. Specifically when it, obviously because you're asking for me, so this is from my point of view, perspective, however you want to say it. For me, I was very in between. I always knew that there was something wrong with me because the way that I couldn't, and this was before I knew like technical terms or like just the knowledge that I have now. I always knew that I couldn't regulate my emotions properly in the way that I could shut them off, in the way that I could become heartless and cold and just all of that. Or just the way that like one little thing could tick me off and it'll send me into a fucking spiral, or just how randomly angry I would get and all of that. When I was diagnosed with it, it made a lot of sense for me. And specifically when I made a lot of research into it, and it made me realize why my love life was the way it was, why my attitude towards certain things were, or just the way that I was as a person in general. I was this way, or I am this way because of this. So it like all the chips kind of fell into place, and it kind of made me realize where. And it was a TikTok that I saw that really hit me, because it's what happens with BPD, where it was like, this isn't something that is something like depression or anxiety where you have that chemical imbalance. Somebody or something or a situation, or it could be a combination of all three, traumatized you enough to where your body had to produce that chemical imbalance to then produce that disorder, if that makes sense. So because of what my parents had done to me and the things that I grew up, and the way that my household was and the things that I went through growing up, my body created that disorder in order for me to survive that household, to survive my parents, to survive my environment. That's the part that really made it sad for me, because it's like, damn, like the two people that were supposed to love me were the ones that gave me such a difficult disorder, because there is no cure to this shit. Yeah, you could go to therapy and you could do all the healing that you can, but to be able to rewire your brain after you have this is the hardest thing ever. So I'm very much in between with it, and sometimes I think I am very grateful for it, because I see like the certain friends that I have, or certain people who, in the aspect of romance, where they really want a relationship and they really want to be with somebody, they really want a boyfriend and this and that. It's moments like that where I'm really happy that I have BPD, because everybody fucking annoys me, and it's the opposite, where I have that type of BPD where I don't want any of that, where I'm like, ugh, it's like grosses me out. So there's certain parts of it where like I am really happy that I do have it, but then there's certain parts where it's like I really wish that I knew how to regulate my emotions better, or just to express them, or just to show them a little bit more. But every time I do, because it is such a foreign feeling, I'm just like, I don't know how to feel about it. But the best advice I could just give you is just take it day by day and know that even though you may be diagnosed with this, there is nothing wrong with you. It was the person who did it to you, and it was the situation that did it to you. But also don't fall into the victim mentality of how certain people tend to like weaponize it, and they're like, oh well, I treated you like that because I have this or because I have that. Like, don't become that person. Do your research and do what you can to fix it. Don't fall into it to where you become a victim and you weaponize it, you know, because then that's when it becomes a problem. But yeah, it's just, I was very in between with it. I've come to terms with it, and at times I have to sit back with my feelings and ask myself, is this a normal feeling for me when it comes to like a specific situation? Is this a normal feeling for me, or is this something that has to do with my BPD? And because I've done the research, I can kind of distinguish it, but sometimes I'm just like, I don't really know, and that's when I have to talk to my therapist about it. So I think also having a therapist that is knowledgeable in it will really help you out as well. Sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough because I never had a boyfriend. That's so funny because I just talked about that. The thing with this is that I can understand this to a certain degree because I have friends like this, and I was like this at one point, believe it or not. Like how I talked about in the other episode where I had that pipeline of being anxiously attached and I became avoidant, is because sometimes when it comes to this, oftentimes it could be a trauma response that you do want to be in a relationship because you want that love that you never got growing up, which was how I was, and how a lot of the friends that I have that do act like this, it all stems from unresolved trauma, and it's all from your childhood, the way that you were raised, the way that you were brought up, certain situations that made you feel unloved or unwanted or whatever. But I don't know, like for some reason it's really hard for me to understand why people act like this, even with me acting that way. Maybe because I did my own healing journey and I'm in therapy and everything, and I understand psychology to a certain extent, like how I talked about before too, that I understand why we do this now, but I made the choice to actually change. And there's a lot of people who, they can be self-aware, but they don't want to change because they want to hide behind that mentality of, instead of admitting that it could be your childhood trauma or unresolved trauma, it's hidden behind this facade of, well, I'm just a lover girl, well, I'm just a lover boy, and it's like, you're not. You're just projecting everything that you went through growing up onto this other onto this other person. Me trying to prove a point and I fucking stutter. You're projecting this onto the other person that you are romantically interested with, which is why sometimes you can become overbearing. Your anxious side comes out where, like, if they don't text you, you kind of start to go into like a spiral. There's certain actions or the way that they talk, or like if their mood is off a little bit, everything it has to do with like verbiage and tonality, where it could send you into a spiral to where you start to think where this person doesn't care about you or they don't want you. That all has to do with like your anxious attachment style. That all has to do with your unresolved trauma. And it's just crazy to me how some people can like kind of be self-aware of that, of like, this is why I act this way, and then still try to hide it under that mentality of like, well, I'm just a lover girl. And it's like, you're not. You're not. You are just so unhealed. But I don't know. But then it's also too like, once I was able to decenter men, my self-worth and my reassurance and my value came from myself. I don't give a fuck what a man has to say about me. If they don't want me because of certain reasons or whatever it may be, I don't care. I don't need my reassurance does not come from external forces. It comes from me, because like that one song, I'm that bitch because I said so. You know what I mean? So I know a lot of this probably has to do with like that very low self-esteem, you not really knowing your self-worth, that you are a whole person and a good enough person without having to be in a relationship, you know. But I also know that some people just tend to feel lonely, and then some people can have friends that are in relationships or are getting married, or they see the world around them of people being in relationships and they want that so bad. But when it comes to that, I really don't know what to say, because like, yeah, I could see someone and be like, oh my god, that's so cute, you know. Even though I don't want to date right now, I could see somebody who's dating and be like, that's cute. Or because I don't believe in marriage, I could attend a friend's wedding and be like, I'm really happy for you, like this is beautiful. but I don't want it. You know what I mean? I'll be like, oh my god. But for me, I'm like, ew. You know? Yeah, I just, because I had a friend like that too, that at one point in my last relationship from last year, I was in that relationship. Then the friend that we no longer speak to, she was engaged during that time, and she was like, I just felt really left out. And I'm like, yeah, because all of your self-worth goes into being with the man and being in the relationship. So that's why, like, when it comes to this, I really don't know what type of advice to give people, because I'm not that way. You know, if I end up, even though some people don't believe me, I've only been in 3 serious relationships. It was my first love, the one in 2019, and the one I had last year. I've dated a lot. Like, I've had different situations with people. Like, I've dated, but in serious relationships, I've only had 3. Because I don't crave relationships like that. Men annoy the fuck out of me, you know? And that's the whole thing that I talked about in the last episode, is like, once you decenter men and you become sentient, your entire perspective from a romantic aspect completely changes. So that's the best advice I could give you, is just, again, just go to therapy. Try to do what you can to unpack that unresolved trauma and really realize, is it because I want a relationship, or is it because I am using this person as a vessel to my own unhealed traumas? I don't think that made any sense. But it's like, there was a specific way that I had told this one guy, where it's, do you really want me, or am I just filling that void for you? So that's what I meant to say. Do you really want to be in a relationship, or is this person being that vessel of filling the void that you have? Do you really love them, or are you just using them? That's when it comes down to, like, the nuance of the conversations of, you have to really sit back and do some retrospection and be like, is this really what I want, or am I just, you know, doing this based off of just all of my trauma, you know? That's the best advice I could give you, because I don't give a fuck about men. You always have the best fits on. Where do you find your style inspo? The way that these questions just go from, like, advice to, like, something dark to, like, this. And then, but this is one thing I always get asked a lot. I feel like I don't really dress all that, because I feel like I look like every other hipster and every other emo and every other, like, 2014 Tumblr kid. But a lot of people like the way that I dress, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys. I do put in a lot of, even though I just said that, I do put in a lot of thought and effort into my outfits, but it's just because I want to look a specific way, I guess you could say. I'm just really into, like, the whole, like, emo, soft grunge, Tumblr, hipster type of vibe, you know? So that's why it's just so easy for me to put on clothes. There are times where, like, I could put thought and effort if I really want to look nice. Where I find my style inspo, believe it or not, is mostly women. Specifically women on TikTok. It's just random women that pop up on my FYP that they'll have a specific outfit on, and then, like, I'll see what I have, and I'll see if I can recreate that with anything I have. Because that's the one thing that I wanted to learn as well, was that you don't have to always go out and buy new stuff. You can make things with things that you already have. And I have so much fucking clothes. So I was like, I really need to learn how to do this and do it properly, you know? There's this one girl that I recently followed on TikTok, because she was popping up on my For You page. I think her name is, like, Ashley McDonald or McConnell, something like that. If I can, I'll try to link her page down below. But she was the main reason why I started wearing my shirts, like my graphic tees, and having the button up underneath with, like, the collar coming out, and then rolling up the sleeves. She doesn't roll up her sleeves, but I did that because I just wanted to add, like, that my style, I guess, to it. But she's the main reason why I started doing all of that. The reason why I started turning a lot of my shirts into this and wearing them with, like, my chinos and my dogs, or just the way that you see me, was a page ran by a woman called Voodoo Milk, where she would make shirts like this. But even as a small business owner, she would only ever go up to a size medium, and I'm like, bitch, you're not even size inclusive. So I was like, I'm gonna make them myself to a certain extent, because I buy these sleeveless shirts from you guys I know you guys are gonna kill me, but from Shein. They're comfortable. I'm sorry, it's from a brand called Someone Studios. And then this is just a regular band tee that my mom is a seamstress, so she just cut it up and sewed it on. And so many of my shirts are like this now because that's what I wanted to wear. So I'm really inspired by women. Obviously, I like how I said, I'm inspired by like the whole emo culture, the hipster culture, and what a lot of people can tell from like my Instagram feed or just the way that I dress too. The entire soft grunge 2014 Tumblr type of era. I will always love that shit. Throwing on an oversized flannel, wearing an all black outfit with an oversized flannel and my dogs, and wearing these with my beanie. Yeah, it's a look, you know, and I'll always dress like that. But that's where my style inspo comes from. I've tried to do so many other things. I've tried to do like what people were saying, what the astrology girls were saying on TikTok was that what your sign is in Venus, that's what you should dress as. And for me, I have a Capricorn Venus, so mine was dark academia, which looks nice. And I tried it, but I was like, this is not me. And then they say if you want to feel powerful to dress like your rising sign, and mine is Scorpio. So which is why like I do look a little bit more like goth or alternative or whatever, and that's where I've always felt more comfortable. Because I've tried the dark academia look, I've done streetwear, I've done so much, but I always go back to looking more alternative or just emo or hipster or whatever it may be, because that's just what I'm comfortable with. But I feel like if you want to find your style inspo, you just have to find something that makes you feel confident, something that makes you feel nice. And like I said, I always feel comfortable in this stuff, so that's, you know, that's where it comes from. Try to find people that have your body type. That's something a lot of people don't talk about, where it's like there's so many of these TikTok girls who are like the typical skinny white women, and I look at their at their clothes and I'm like, all right, does it look good on her, or she just skinny? Then I put it on myself and I'm like, maybe she's just skinny, you know? So you kind of have to go through like that trial and error of like, is it fashion, or are they just skinny, you know? And then little by little you'll start to find your own type of style, you know? Is it wrong if I stalk my ex's Instagram a year later? Girl, what the fuck? Get up. It's been a whole year and you're still... That's crazy. I mean, I can understand it, because you may have loved that person, but at the same time it's like, we need to move on, girl. But I also, like, let me be so real, I really can't judge because, well, no, it hasn't been a year yet, but in November or December, I can't remember, when I left the Cholo Daddy, he used to have his Facebook account, and I used to go on there and be like, oh my god. But then he deleted it, so I think that's what helped me, was the fact that he deleted it, so I can't like go on there and be like, hey, you know? But so I really can't judge, because I've been that bitch too. But I mean, it is kind of wrong, because it's been a year already, girl. Come on. Like, there will always be other fish in the sea. Try to date, try to move on. I don't know. That's crazy. I know people who like years and years after they're still like, oh, I saw this on my ex's Instagram, and I'm like, bitch, it's been almost 3 years and you're still looking at that shit. You need to be shot. Like, for real. My partner wants an open relationship. I don't. Are we doomed? Should I leave him? Jesus Christ. This is such a crazy topic, because I know nowadays becoming polyamorous is becoming more popular. For me, I don't do any of that. I support those who do. If you want to be in an open relationship, a polyamorous one, a throuple, you want to have a plethora of women or men or whoever you're into, go off, go hard. I am so incredibly happy for you. But me, I'm into monogamy. I don't like doing that. I know in relationships, I can be a little bit territorial, so I would rather just have it be like a one-on-one thing. If they want that and you don't, there's so many ways that this can go. Because if this is something that you guys have talked about before, that eventually you guys will be in an open relationship, I don't want to put the blame on you, but if this was something that you guys said you guys will talk about later on in the future, and they seemed a little bit more into it and you didn't, maybe that should have been your red flag from the beginning, that they weren't going to be completely yours, that they were going to be yours to a certain extent, and then down the line they were going to find someone else. If this is something that they're bringing up out of nowhere, leave him, dump him. It's done. Not you have to rip off that fucking band-aid. It's 100% done. If they are bringing this up out of nowhere, they don't love you anymore, they don't want you, and they want to explore other options before seeing if it's worth it to leave you or to go with somebody else. Pretty much they want to see if the grass is greener on the other side, and they want to drag you along to see if you know, like what I just said, if they should stay with you or if they should leave you, and you're gonna end up extremely hurt in the end. So if that's the situation, yes, you are doomed and you should leave him. Because this is a conversation that people need to start having, like at the beginning of their relationships. Because I've had this when I went on dates where it's like, are you into polyamory? Are you what are you into? Because I don't do that shit. And I even had that conversation with them too, where it's like, you may be saying no right now, but do you want it down the line? Because down the line, I'm gonna still say no. Because if you want that shit down the line, I'll leave you. Go be with that motherfucker. Leave me alone, you know? So it just depends on the situation. If this is something that you guys talked about that you guys would eventually do, but you're not comfortable with it, that's a conversation you guys should have, and the relationship might end. If they're bringing this up out of nowhere and you guys have never talked about this, they may not want to be with you anymore. My best friend is dating my old situationship. Should I say something? Oh my god. I feel like you should, because that's so weird. It's almost like girl code, or what they call like bro code, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't understand how friends could date within each other. And I know that's such a huge thing in the gay community, that like they all know each other because, oh, this is my boyfriend, but his best friend used to be his ex. But then his best friend is somebody that I used to hook up with. And now we're all friends, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't understand that, how you guys could all, or just like in this instance, when it's like, your best friend knew that was somebody that you were with, but then she decided to go with him. I feel like that's not very, because I obviously don't want to gender this, because they didn't tell me if it was a guy or a girl or whatever, but I don't know, that's just, to me, that's a really weird situation. Maybe that person, your best friend, wanted that person since the beginning, and they were just waiting for you to be done with him or with each other or whatever. But I would say something, because that is a little weird. And that's it. If one of my friends ever dated somebody that I was dating, well, I did have a situation like that, where in 2019 when I had that one ex, some guy that I went to high school with, that we kind of flirted and whatnot, then we became friends. He dated my ex for some time, and he switched up on me, and now me and him don't ever talk. Like we don't have a friendship anymore. So sometimes that could happen, but then it's like, I don't know. Because it's like, you knew that was my ex and you knew that we were friends. So it's kind of weird. I think it would put a strain on the friendship. But I feel like you guys should just have that conversation and be like, yo, come on. Like, you know that was somebody that I was with. Why? You know, for why? ¿Por qué? For what? You know? But that's a really difficult situation. I'm sorry that you're going through that. I think I love my friend, but I don't want to ruin what we have. Oh my god. What are you guys going through? I can understand this. Have I ever gone through this? I don't think so. I know that I've been in those situations where like I talk to somebody, then we become friends, and they kind of make the friendship difficult because they have feelings and I don't. Because again, this could go so many different ways, where if you have that conversation with them, do you know if they feel the same way, and could it blossom into something? Or would that put a strain on the relationship because they don't feel the same way? Like you could potentially like pour your heart out to this person, and they're like, ew, dude. You know what I mean? And they're like, I don't see you that way. If you feel like, but don't, what I'm gonna ask you, do not answer this with delusion, okay? Ground yourself in reality. Even though they are your friend, do you think that they have feelings for you? But like genuine feelings. Do you think that they will feel the same way that you feel about them? And like I said, don't answer that with delusion, because then you might see a minuscule detail and be like, no, but they did that because they love me. No, bitch. Ground yourself in reality and really sit with that. If you feel like they do actually really like you, I would address it, because then maybe it could become something. But then at the same time, if you address it, they may be like, I do feel that way, but I just don't want to ruin the friendship either. If you feel like they don't feel that way, you might have to suffer in silence, or you might have to end the friendship, depending on how you feel about it. That's the best advice I could give you. How do I set boundaries without feeling like a bad person? I feel like I kind of answered this in the last episode with the situation with like the two friends that I had. You should never feel like a bad person for having to put your boundaries out there. That's the one thing that people really need to learn, is that it will never make you a bad person. If the person you are putting that boundary on makes you feel like you are, the problem is them, because they are so used to going on in their life, in their friendships, treating people however they want to, or being however they want to, and never being put in their place. And in the minute that they are, you're considered the toxic one. And if that happens within this situation, that person was never really your friend, you know. But you should never feel bad, especially if somebody is disrespecting you constantly, or if there's a specific situation going on that makes you uncomfortable. I feel like you should definitely speak up and put that boundary. If it does strain the relationship or the friendship or whatever, again, they were never really your friend. If the friendships become stronger and it blossoms into something better, you know, then good on that. You know, a lot of these situations are tricky because it could go either way, and it could be somebody that's like a best friend or whatever, and you never really know someone until a boundary has to be set, until you have to have that conversation of like, you did this that to hurt me or whatever it may be, and then that person could respond in a way that you never thought they would because they were your best friend. So I feel like you should just go into it. That's how I always go into situations, is grounded in reality. Yes, think about the best possible outcome, but also think about what other outcomes could come out, you know, because not everything is all rainbows and bullshit, you know. So yeah, but don't ever feel like you're a bad person having to put your foot down and having to put that boundary up there, especially if somebody, like in the situation that I talked about in the other episode, especially if somebody is consistently disrespecting you, you need to put that shit out there, you know. How do I ghost someone ethically? How would that shit ever be done ethically? Again, it just all depends on the situation. Some guy that I was talking to for like a month or so, he was giving me like very mixed signals. Like I think I talked about him in the podcast where he had that attitude where it's like, it's okay for me to do it but not you, where I would go out with like a friend and he would kind of trip out on me. Or if I would text him, I'd be like, oh hey, good morning, whatever, you know. And one time he just texted me, he was like, hi, cool, okay. Then when I matched that energy, he got mad, and I was like, I'm not doing this shit with you. So I got mad because I'm like, how do you notice the things that I do but not you? I'm matching your energy, dog. So in that situation, I just stopped messaging him. He texted me one day, he's like, oh, I hope you're having a good day, hugs. And I was like, fuck off. I deleted the message and I deleted his number. And I think it's been like 3 or 4 days and we never spoke again. And better for me, because you are a 35-year-old man acting like this. I'm not fucking dealing with it. And also him, he had his moments where he was so insecure, and I get it. We are all insecure. We all have our own insecurities. I get it. But do not project that shit onto me, because that is the quickest way to fucking lose me. Oh, if I ever see him, I'm gonna rock his shit. But I feel like ghosting could never be done ethically though. So I feel like however the situation is going, however you feel more comfortable, just ghost them. Because sometimes some people don't even deserve an explanation, especially if you've already explained yourself and they're still doing certain things. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking drop you, I'm gonna ghost you, fuck you, because blatantly you are showing me that you don't care. So again, it just depends on the situation. My friend trauma dumps constantly but won't get help. What do I do? Oh, and this is the last one as well. I have a friend like that. Oh, and then the other girl too, that we don't talk to anymore. She would trauma dump and she wouldn't do shit about it. I feel like in this moment, so what I did in this head situation was that I distanced myself. And I had to have a conversation with one of my other friends that has met her and knows her. And I was like, I want you to just hear me out real quick and then let me know your opinion about the situation. And I pretty much, it was this situation too, where she constantly bitches and moans about certain things. And she changes therapy so frequently, and it's like, but no real change has been made. Like she's one of those that I talked about where she's very self-aware about what she is going through, but there are no real changes ever being made. And I had that conversation with my friend where I was like, I don't know how much more I could deal with it, because there are no more words of encouragement that I can tell her or that I can give her to make her realize that you just need to put in the work to actually change. Yeah, I get it. Like, there's so much in bitching and moaning and blaming the world and our parents that we can do. But after a certain age, it's like, get the fuck up and do the work. Get up and change. Like, I'm tired of hearing the bitching and moaning, and you are becoming stagnant. You are, what's that one word is leaving my head. You are becoming complacent. You became comfortable, and now you are complacent, and you don't want to change. And I'm tired of it, dude, because it's like I'm over here doing the changes that I need to do to better myself, to change who I am, but yet you are staying in one spot, and me and you are drifting apart because we are not the same anymore. Like, we have nothing in common now, because I'm not doing the same bullshit that you were doing before. I mean, I can relate to you to a certain degree, but it's like, I don't know what to do anymore, and I don't know what to tell you anymore. So with the advice that my friend had given me, and me having so many conversations with his one friend and nothing has changed, I decided to just like not really ghost her, but like I distanced myself from her. Because it's like, if you're not gonna make the changes and you're not gonna listen to anything that I have to say, or that the other people that have told you the exact same fucking thing, I'm not gonna waste my time anymore, and I'm gonna have to move on, you know. This is the year of like how I said, of me focusing on myself and my sobriety and my therapy, where it's so much enveloped into that, where it's like, I'm gonna lose connections, I'm gonna lose friendships, I'm gonna lose things in my life, but it's for the better. And if she ends up being one of them, well then so be it, you know. Because it's like, I don't want to. I was complacent for so long, and I was okay with what I was doing. My mentality and my goals and my purpose in this life have completely changed. If you want to stay back there, go for it, but I'm gonna have to leave you alone. So I think you might have to do, if it's that situation where you have been there for that friend, and you have voiced your concerns, and you've given like the advice and all of that, and there still hasn't been a change, maybe it's time for you to distance yourself from them and separate yourself from them. I feel like that's really the only situation that could really go on, because if you talk to them once, okay, fine, you know, kind of give them that leniency, but also see if they're making that change. It all depends if they want to make that change or not, you know, because it's not, I get it that within friends we could trauma dump and talk about stuff, but if it's a consistent thing and there's no changes being made, and it's just nothing but like bitching and moaning and blaming the world, that does drain you of your energy, and it does get annoying. So I would say either have that conversation, like have a final conversation with them, maybe set that boundary that if they're not going to change, then to not talk about that type of stuff with you, or just end the friendship, or just distance yourself, however, you know, it seems fit. But anyway, you guys, that's gonna be the end of that. That was fun. That was nice. I like how I said, I like to give out advice as much as I can with my own experiences, because I try to add that nuance into the conversations. And I know that sometimes there's certain situations where you do want like outside perspective. So hopefully with everything that you guys are going through, I was able to help you through it to kind of come to a resolution. But yes, now I'm getting hungry because I was fasting. But I'm gonna end the episode here. That's gonna do it for me. Thank you guys so much for taking the time out of the day to watch this, to keep up with me and all of that. Don't forget to follow me on my socials. I only have TikTok and Instagram. And I will catch all of you guys in another episode. Deuces.